High atop a great stone wall, little Jackie Rabbit and her uncle, Lucky Jack, sat gazing down over a sea of rooftops, streets, and lanes. They had traveled far in search of the long, slender, pointy, potato-like things that could save Ireland. Far below the two rabbits, the midday sun was glistening off glass windows. Wisps of smoke were rising from brick chimneys. People were milling about the carts of a marketplace. Little Jackie and Lucky Jack knew that somewhere amid that maze of cobblestones they had to find the long, slender, pointy, potato-like things, or Ireland would be doomed.
"But Uncle Jack, how are we going to get down there? It's so far down."
"Don't you be worrying, little Jackie. I'll go first. I'll be right below you. We'll take it slow and steady."
"All right, Uncle Jack. All right."
Lucky Jack took hold of the cold stone, carefully scooted himself over the edge, fumbled for a moment for his footing, but then he was easing himself down, one step at a time. It was then little Jackie's turn. She clung tightly to the stone, squeezed her eyes shut, and swung her legs over the edge. She too fumbled for her footing, but then was moving downward, one trembling step at a time. It seemed to take forever, but at last they reached a flower garden below. They had just begun to breathe easy, but at that moment they heard a... They turned, and to their horror they saw the largest dog they had ever seen running straight towards them. Its legs were bowed, its feet turned outward, its claws were clicking on the cobblestone streets, its snout turned back into a snarl as it came running towards them.
"Dig, little Jackie! Dig for all you've got!"
The two rabbits dug into the dirt of the flower bed. The dog bit at them, missing Lucky Jack's ear by less than a whisker. Down they dug, faster and faster, with the dog chasing after them.
"Hey, you dog!
Quit digging in that flower garden!" cried a voice from across the street. "I told you once, I told you 1,000 times. Get, dog!" The dog snorted at the two rabbits. Then it turned and tromped away. Little Jackie and Lucky Jack lay upon their backs at the bottom of their burrow, their hearts pittering and pattering at the fastest of pace, their breath coming in panting gasps. At last the two rabbits dared to crawl out from their hole. They cautiously poked their heads above ground and looked about. Up the street and down the street, the buildings were looming over them. But across the street there was a narrow lane, and in that lane there was a small cart with wooden wheels, and behind that cart there was a withered old man, with a long white beard, and a dusty cap pulled down over his wrinkled brow. And upon his cart was a small hand-painted sign that read, "Radishes, 2 bits."
"Uncle Jack, what's a radish?"
"Don't know. Never heard of it. But then again, I've never heard of a bit either."
"But I suppose, little Jackie, these long, slender, pointy, potato-like things, they
must have a name of some sort.
Let's take a look and see what we find."
The two rabbits glanced about, and when no one was looking, they darted across the street and hid beneath the cart. Then Lucky Jack took hold of the wooden spokes and climbed up the cart's wheel. Keeping his ears flat against his head so as not to be seen by the old man, he peered into the cart and saw row after row of radishes. They were pointy at one end, and at the other end they had green leaves, but they were short and they were round, and they were red in color. Amongst all those radishes, Lucky Jack saw a small tin can and wondered what might be within that can. But just at that moment, a little boy came running down the lane and slowed to a halt in front of the cart. He threw a pair of coins into the can, and the old man handed him a bundle of radishes. Lucky Jack eased himself back down to the ground.
"What did you see, Uncle Jack? What are radishes?"
They're round, and they're pointy at one end. They're like the long, slender, pointy, potato-like things, but they're not long or slender. I think we need to keep looking, little Jackie, but the man, he gave some of them to the boy when he gave coins into his can. I think we might be able to exchange coins for whatever these things are when we find them. Let's keep looking, little Jackie. Let's keep looking about." And so the two rabbits were off, scampering down the lane once more, searching here and there. They crossed one street and then another, all the while ducking behind flower pots any time someone looked their way. At last,
they found another cart on a street corner. Behind that cart was a round woman with long dark hair. And atop the cart, there was a sign that read, "Parsnips, 2 bits." "Uncle Jack, what's a parsnip?" "Don't know. Maybe parsnips are the long, slender, pointy potato-like things. Let's have a look, little Jackie." The 2 rabbits scampered to the cart and hid beneath it. This time, when Lucky Jack hoisted himself up and looked into the cart, he saw row after row of parsnips. They were long, and they were slender and pointy at one end, but they were white, not orange. Lucky Jack eased himself back down to the ground. "I don't know, little Jackie. These things, they're long and slender and pointy at one end, but they're not orange. They're white. Uncle Jack, don't you think that's close enough? Couldn't we bring these back?" "I don't know, little Jackie. I think we best find orange ones." And so on they went, searching through the streets and lanes of the city until they found another cart. Behind that cart stood a young woman with a baby cradled in her arms, and upon her cart there sat a sign that read, "Carrots, 2 bits." "Little Jackie, why don't you look at this one?" And so little Jackie took hold of the wooden spokes and hoisted herself up. She kept her ears flat against her head as she looked into the cart. She saw row after row of carrots. They were long, they were slender, pointy at one end, orange in color with green leaves. They were speckled with dirt, just like a potato. She was so excited she dropped down to the ground. Uncle Jack, we found them! Carrots! It's just like they said, long, slender, pointy, potato-like." "But Uncle Jack, how are we going to get them now?" "Ah, little Jackie, don't you remember when the little boy threw coins at the old man? He gave the boy radishes in exchange. I bet if we give this woman here coins, she'll give us some of her carrots." "But Uncle Jack, we're rabbits. We don't have coins." "Ah, but rats have coins, little Jackie. They love shiny things, and coins are shiny enough." With that, the 2 rabbits set off down the lane, scampering and hopping along. They ducked behind flower pots and into the shadows whenever someone glanced their way. They crossed one street, then another, went down a lane, searching here and there. They stood upon each other's shoulders, peering into windows and through the keyholes of doors, but still they found no rats. "We'll look down one more lane, just one more." And as they scampered down the row of brick houses, they saw that the dirt had been pulled away from the foundation of one, and something had clawed its way through the mortar. "Look here, little Jackie. Only a rat could have clawed through stone like that." The 2 rabbits drew near. They saw that the soil had been packed down into small steps. Lucky Jack stood at the top, listening carefully. "Uncle Jack, are you sure we want to go down there?" "I'm sure we don't. But we've got to, little Jackie. And Ireland is doomed." And so with Lucky Jack leading the way, and little Jackie following close behind, they made their way down into a cellar. It was dark and musty, dank and dusty. They could hardly see the noses at the end of their snouts, but on they went, deeper and deeper into the darkness. Then they saw a pair of eyes glittering ahead of them. It was a single pair of eyes at first, then another and another. Soon they were surrounded by hundreds of glittering eyes. Rats emerged from the darkness, drawing close around them. It was a sea of mangy fur and claws. One of the rats stood upon its haunches. "Trespassers, what should we do with them?"